It's not often I find myself in Guangzhou at the XPENG HQ, and it's not often I find myself in the back of the car. There's loads of room with a Cowboy. Mm-hmm. This is the Cowboy hat test, isn't it, Brian?
Well, this is a real Cowboy hat test.
Yeah.
And even with lots of cushion inside, you can see the room more than a...
Yeah, absolutely. Can I try it on as well?
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
Because
You're like a 180.
Yeah, I'm 6'2". Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're 181,
yeah,
182.
Yeah, loads of room. I could wear it.
Yeah.
See, people don't wear top hats anymore in the UK, but people used to wear top hats, which obviously was a bit higher.
Yeah.
I could probably wear a top hat in this.
Absolutely. Actually, you'll look very, very nice inside with the hat. Yes.
Thanks. So here's an observation, which maybe is an obvious thing. In China particularly, people really want to spend a lot of time in their car. Mm-hmm. Their car is almost like an extension of their home. Well, it is. You know, they want the good creature comforts, great seats, loads of space. You've clearly designed that in here. Lots of good entertainment, etc. But in the rest of the world, let's say particularly UK, which I know well, a lot of people simply want a car to go from A to B. So do you have any worry or concern that perhaps the kind of, how can I put it, the Western car buyer almost thinks I don't need all of these things? Beautiful as the car is, and it certainly is, because we tend to just use our cars functionally. Or do you think that's changing, Brian?
Well, I believe that spaciousness is always desired by our customers.
Right.
However, the limiting factor is the road, the parking space.
Yes.
So the navigation needed. So sometimes cars cannot have long length or wide width.
Yeah.
But however,
Absolutely.
if you in the same length or width to create the biggest space, it's always going to be desired by our customers.
Sure. And when it comes to vehicle width, I expect you were very focused on that when you did something last week that I've done, which is you go up the hill climb at Goodwood, and if you get too close to that flint wall,
Right.
that wouldn't be good, would it?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the
That's
things good with the hill climb is very narrow roads.
Yeah.
And think about the sharp turn
Yes.
during that narrow
Yeah.
part. You have to be very nimble, but also the car has to have tremendous handling to handle that at a high speed.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, you survived, and so did I, because I went up there. You kindly arranged that for me last year. I think I went up in a G6, so that was cool. One thing I also want to talk to you about is where the whole industry globally is now, in the fact that clearly, this car, this business particularly, this brand especially, is absolutely about the software-defined vehicle. It really is almost like it's that first, and then everything else after that in terms of the mechanics, all the other stuff. It's all important, and everything is integrated. But where do you? I'm very intrigued now about what you can perhaps tell us about the relationship with Volkswagen, given they haven't always had the best software. And clearly you're, from scratch. I don't want to put you on the spot and ask you an awkward commercial question. And obviously, got an important relationship with Volkswagen. But how is that going? If you can tell us anything.
First of all, I would say that you're absolutely right. I think the current change we're witnessing is led by redefining the vehicle using software. But increasingly today is by AI.
Yes.
So that is a total game changer in the EV and motoring business. So one of the reasons that XPENG thrive is we start off with a totally different way to think about EV and mobility.
Yep.
That's why we always want intelligence, which equates to software and AI, to be the leading differentiator compared to normal automotive designs as well as electrification. And that gave us a unique capability and technology to compete.
Yes.
And that's also one of the reasons I think Volkswagen saw that we're different. We actually can help them in the Chinese market, at least, that provide our specialty, which is an AI-defined vehicle, using the most latest thinking around mobility, using electrification and intelligence. So that actually is, I would say, a very much complementary partnership, and we're doing very well. We're actually on track to launch our first co-developed vehicles early next year in the Chinese market.
Oh, yeah, no, that's definitely interesting. And I understand what you just said, but owning a Volkswagen myself, I've got a Volkswagen ID Buzz. I can't wait for the software to be a bit better, to be honest with you. But I understand your point on how the relationship works. Okay, final question, because I know you're busy, and I really appreciate you inviting me up to Guangzhou from Hong Kong. Just had a great week at the battery show. It was the first, believe it or not, the battery show's been going since 2009, started in America, and this is the first time it's been in Asia, 2025. It seems remarkable to me, but they're definitely doing it next year, doing it in March. Maybe we can get you guys along.
I think, as you know, for battery, you have to come to Asia, come to China to see it.
Yeah, no doubt.
And also, the battery world is also increasingly merged with software and AI.
Yes.
And that is a trend, just like automotive.
Yes. Well, sort of on that point, just to finish on this then, with a software-enabled vehicle, I'm wondering about the future in terms of services, products, recurring revenues that the manufacturer, the XPENG, can enjoy, and Volkswagen indeed, in this different world where, unlike the world before, where what you made was what it is and that's its life, you can do the over-the-air updates, you can add, tools and services and products through software. Can you give us a flavour of how that might develop over the coming years? Is there going to be a lot of stuff we can buy when we drive in the car?
Absolutely. I think with AI, the pace of change is accelerating.
Yeah.
I think we are packing our cars with much more advanced technology. For example, even the latest autonomous driving technology now we can put in mass-produced vehicles, which can handle all road conditions in China. And also, we are now bringing that technology to price points that's unheard of. $20,000 US.
Yeah.
You can get a full scenario autonomous driving capability.
Yeah.
And that is the type of value I think the transformation of AI can bring. That will also lead to a lot of business model changes, because once you have really differentiated smart capabilities, they are valuable to our customers.
Yes.
It could be priced separately. It could be enjoyed at different levels, and also could actually create scenarios that lead to other business opportunities.
Yeah, I get that, and thank you for that answer, because I think it is inevitable, as you say, and happening quickly. But all of this stuff, all this R&D, you've got a lot of people here in the organisation. 30,000 people now at XPENG?
Well, we're 20,000+, but it's increasing pretty quickly.
Yeah, so everyone's got to be paid for. The business has got to work as a business. So seeing that there are going to be those recurring revenues, those services, those products, increasingly available. Yeah, that's great to hear, because it's got to work for the customer and for the people that are making this stuff.
Well, absolutely, we have to make the numbers work.
Yeah.
But we're very encouraged to see that as we increase scale, our revenue is growing at a triple-digit rate. Our margins actually improving every quarter for the last 8 quarters in a row.
Well,
so that also leads to one of the objectives this year is to reach overall profitability as a company.
Yeah, I know I said the last question was the last one, but now you brought that up. I'm very pleased to hear that, because what we hear a lot from outside of China, or I certainly hear, is how competitive it's got, the oversupply aspects, and the margins being pushed down. Especially in the battery arena, almost making it just desperately dangerous for people's business survival. So if against that background of oversupply, in many ways, you are progressing well, building the brand, getting good margin, improving your margins. Brian, one way or another, you're doing something right. So well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done. And thanks again for meeting the team and showing us around. A very lovely people. It was met at the train station. It was all very well organised. So appreciate.
Thank you for making the trip to visit us. I hope to see you more often here.